We'll do it live.
You know, I see other people stuff.
You don't fool me.
Bridget Fonda.
We made the connection, and when you make the connection, it's like chemistry takes care of itself. I mean, it makes its own decisions, you know?
Campbell Scott.
I was just nowhere near your neighborhood.
Kira Sedgwick.
Did I overreact? Do you know who this is?
Sheila Kelly.
Could you seat me next to a single guy? I've got a special feeling about you.
And Matt Dillon.
Janet, you rock my world.
Singles. Directed by Cameron Crowe.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cinematic Lounge. Hello, Maria.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We're still in summer.
Yes, we are.
Tonight, we're going to do a movie that not only you missed, but I missed. And as you saw in the trailer, it's Singles.
Yeah.
I never saw Singles.
Oh, I didn't realize you hadn't seen it.
And I also didn't realize how many films Cameron Crowe's actually directed as we go down. We added a couple to the wheel based on our conversation while we're watching this film. So that was fun.
Yes.
So yes, Singles. So in honor of Singles, what's the drink that you created for us today?
So it's called a coffee, it's called a Negro Margarita or a coffee margarita. So it
the old
is,
coffee theme.
coffee theme because it's in
Right in the camera. Point to that camera right
Seattle.
there. Pick it up. Seattle.
There we go. It's in Seattle. So it's got a little coffee. It's got a coffee liqueur, tequila, lime juice, and agave. And I rimmed it with tahini.
So agave.
Agave is like a simple syrup, but it's from the agave.
Is this a summer drink or is it just?
Well, that's why I was trying to get a summer drink in. So it's a margarita, which is typically a summer drink.
Okay.
It's served cold,
Right.
as opposed to like a hot coffee drink.
Okay.
So
I am tonight drinking a Sprite, which I also think is the official drink of Seattle. Soft drink. Is that true?
I don't know.
Okay, well, cheers.
But it's
anyway.
Definitely a summer drink.
There you go. Ew, that stuff makes it not clinky.
I know, it's the tahini.
Delicious and refreshing. Okay, so let's talk about Singles.
Okay.
1992.
Excuse me.
As I said, directed by Cameron Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
The four main stars are Bridget Fonda, Matt Dillon, Campbell Scott, and Kira Sedgwick. Fun to see her.
Yes,
Haven't
it
seen
was.
her in a long time. I know now she's married to Kevin Bacon. Romantic comedy based in Seattle. Supposedly, the lore of this film, the lore was that it created the grunge sound.
Oh, I didn't know.
Tapped in, but it didn't.
Right.
Grunge sound was already there.
Right.
Matt Dillon plays a band member. Music, as Cameron Crowe films go, as you'll see more as you watch these, music is very important to him. Obviously, you haven't seen Say Anything, but you know the big thing.
Well, but he's originally from Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone.
So that makes sense.
There's some call-outs to some of the people from Almost Famous, specifically the author or the reporter who took him under his wing, which Almost Famous is based on. Lester Banks, I think is his name, or Bangs, I forget. There's a woman reading that in the coffee shop that Bridget Fonda's working at, one of his books. So anyway, it's a romantic comedy based in Seattle. Why don't you give us a little plot synopsis?
Little plot synopsis,
please.
Okay. Well, let's see. They're all single but couples.
Young and single, 23, 24.
Yeah, just out of college, just kind of starting their careers, trying to like forge into that next part of their lives. So they're single but not. So they have people that each one of them is dating, but that's really not the one. So the whole plot is the breaking up and the getting back together.
Right. So Kira Sedgwick, I don't know her character's name, so I know one name, Steve.
Who's Steve?
Steve is Campbell Scott. That's his name.
Oh.
I think Cliff might be Matt Dillon, but we'll just call them by the actor names. Okay, so Kira just buys she's talking about a new house.
Right.
And what she's most proud of is her
garage door opener. Garage door openers are important.
Well, because she's never parked underneath anything, I guess, and she, her car, all that. So it starts off with her having men trouble trying to date men in Seattle.
Right.
Steve Campbell Scott, I guess, just broke up with his long-term girlfriend.
Right, but when he was explaining it, it was kind of like a convoluted. He broke up with her, but he was actually seen. He
right.
Was
there's that whole thing he does. It circles back.
Yeah, it circles back to him having too many women at once.
Right, and he ended up dating someone that broke up. Okay,
right.
So that happens. Matt Dillon's just some guy that plays in a band. His big
Right.
song is "Touch My Dick." My name is Dick. I forget his big
Yeah.
song. And I guess Eddie Vedder played the drums in this movie. He's the drummer in this guy's band. And Bridget Fonda plays a woman who is in, I guess Singles, is an apartment complex that they all live in.
Right.
Because they show a sign that says Singles, vacancy.
All except for Kira Sedgwick and
She moved out.
the girl Linda, who's kind of the really wacky one.
The woman who worked at the
Yes,
network.
the radio
and does the
station, whatever.
dating.
Yes.
The dating video.
The dating
directed
video.
by, who directed Beetlejuice? Help me out here.
I'm-
You don't know who directed
No, I don't
Tim
know.
Burton.
Tim Burton. That's right. Tim
was
Burton
the director
there.
of her dating video,
Yes.
which is funny. Cameron
Yeah.
Crowe had there were a lot of people in this film.
There really are.
Paul Giamatti's first
Paul Giamatti's in
role.
there,
He
yep.
says the word "what." That's his first thing. Obviously, he had guys from bands. I didn't recognize any of the bands. I think you immediately picked up on Alice in Chains. Was
Alice
that
in
the first
Chains
group?
was in there, yeah.
I know Eddie Vedder's in here.
And
The
Eddie Vedder was in
Soundgarden,
there.
I guess. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people that were part of the music. Cameron Crowe has a cameo in this. He's interviewing Matt Dillon. All right. But at its root, it's a romantic comedy.
Correct.
Everybody's frustrated because they can't find the right people. Bridget Fonda is basically in love with Matt Dillon, who's completely ignoring him, dating other women.
Right.
She actually goes to Bill Pullman, who's a plastic surgeon, because she thinks the way to get Matt Dillon is to get big boobs and hourglass shape.
Right.
So I didn't realize, and you haven't seen Jerry Maguire, you haven't seen Almost
saw
Famous.
Jerry Maguire.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay. I never realized what a romantic he is. Like that Jerry Maguire's a complete love story.
Yeah,
ultimately.
it is.
And this one is too, although it takes a while for people to get where they need to get.
Right.
How did you feel about what Bridget Fonda was doing? Her character trying to pine for this guy who had wanting nothing to do with it. First of all, I'm sorry. Let's back up a step. General feel about the film. What was your takeaway about?
My general feeling about the film was I enjoyed it. It was, it's one of those ensembles. Like there was like this, seems like there was this spat of those, like Valentine's Day and you like where there's these ensembles with these multiple couples and everything. So it was just like
multiple stories happening.
Right. Multiple stories happening.
Right.
So it was just kind of one of those to me. I enjoyed it. It was predictable and it was frustrating in its predictability.
Because you knew everybody was going to end up. What was predictable? Just how it was going to. Obviously, how it's going to end.
Yeah, everything that was just predictable, and and that was also frustrating, especially to me with the Bridget Fonda character. That was the most. I don't want to say disappointing, but. He had her character grow. He had her go from pining, doing anything for this man, to realizing this man's a jerk, to paying off her school loans, to getting into architecture school, starting her, kind of on her second. She decided
not to have the plastic surgery because she likes herself.
Right.
And actually, Bill Pullman was basically trying to date her.
Right.
I mean, he realized, I'm not going to do this. There's a funny scene where the boobs are getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
And he ultimately, at another appointment, says, no, you're perfect. I wouldn't.
Right.
It'd be horrible for me to go ahead and do this to you because you're. So I thought they were going to end up together. Okay. I said that to you right away.
You did.
They're going to end up. She does that line where she just wants a man to, when I sneeze, say, bless you.
Right.
Okay. So you know that's going to come into play at some point.
Correct.
And where it came into play was right at the very end.
Right.
And of course, who said bless you? Matt Dillon. So yes, it was predictable. I still found it's his filmmaking style is very simple. He doesn't overcomplicate things. And his jokes, like the joke about Matt Dillon putting the radio in the car and he cranks it up to the point where the windows all break.
Yeah.
I mean, and the whole gag with the garage door openers, that became a big issue for Kira Sedgwick's character. But ultimately, it was kind of just, it's same old thing. These guys are going to fall in, they're going to meet cute.
Right.
They're going to break up.
Right.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Ultimately, they all realize they all love each other.
Right.
But I still felt it was, now this is 92. When did Reality Bites come out? That was 88,
I haven't seen it.
maybe? You've never... Okay, so Reality Bites, I think, might have been out before this one. That's the one with Ben Stiller and Winona Ryder. It's the same idea. A bunch of single people.
Garofalo is in it, right? I like her.
Garofalo. Same thing. Ethan Hawke, I think, plays a
That's
musician.
even out. That's also in Washington, right?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
I think it might be.
I think it's also grunge.
I don't know if it's grunge,
but it's the whole coffee. Washington,
maybe that one
Seattle
came out and started grunge. I don't know. Reality Bites. So I'm looking at both of those as kind of similar ideas, where it's young people trying to figure out romance. Steve and Campbell Scott and Kira Sedgwick actually go through a fear. She gets pregnant,
right?
And it's the one scene in the film that's like, they get in a car accident, she loses the baby, and a lot of things change for her. Ultimately, they end up back together.
Correct.
But did it bring you back to the 90s? Oh, the one good thing about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did it bring you back to the 90s? What is the 90s to you? That's
motherhood. So it was it's hard for me for movies in the 90s, because in the 90s I had David in 1992 and I had Kaylee in 1996. So I was in the trenches of, all that breastfeeding and daycare and nursery schools and
so worrying
elementary
about
school.
Young people trying to fall in love.
I didn't care if they ever fell in love or not.
Right. So, and that's when you think of the 90s, that's what it is. It's
the 90s for me is just one big blur.
My son, first one was 93, then 96, same as you.
Yeah.
I still went to the movie stuff, but I didn't see this. I didn't see this film. But what was amazing is not a cell phone in sight.
Right.
Not a cell phone. There's actually a scene in a bar where Campbell Scott's on the phone talking to Kira Sedgwick, and it's like he's on a payphone.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, if this were happening now, the way the phone is used now to propel plot is just insane. And this one
and what I liked too was the answering machine. Because I remember the answering machine, like running home and clicking it to see if anyone had called. Right. I did like the answering machine scenes.
Not a classic like in Swingers. That's a classic answering machine scene. Classic. But yes, this one, same idea where she's got an answering machine. He, of course, leaves a heartfelt message on that answering machine. And what happens? The tape gets ripped up. She never hears it.
Right.
He ends up a recluse in a house.
Right.
No, and I liked his character. He was a guy that was all into trains and traffic, and he's trying to get Seattle to put a super train in.
Out of all the characters, I like those two the best in that. And I mean, I guess they were like the main characters, the whole thing. Because
they were the most normal. Well, they were. I don't
want to say normal, but what I want to say is they were more progressed in their life. Like they were trying to balance life and trying to start these careers, and their careers had meaning to them. Their careers weren't just to pay the bills. Like he really wanted this train, so to alleviate traffic and to get everybody on the train.
Cars. He wants everybody on trains.
She really wanted to clean up the environment. Right. So they really had this these passions for their jobs too, which I like that.
Yeah. And the other two, Bridget Fonda and especially Matt Dillon, who's also a flower. He delivered flowers.
He had 3 jobs. He delivered flowers. He worked in the coffee shop, and then he was the lead singer for the band.
What was the name? I forget the name of his band.
Something, I don't know. I want to say Flaming Dicks, but that was
no. His song was "You Want to Touch My Dick." I think it was the song. I think they did covers for these too. I'm reading IMDb trying to get all this. Another story I want to talk about after we talk about the film about this film that I read on IMDb. I'm sure everybody can read it, but I'll say it anyway. And he's just kind of a, he's just a hanger-oner. He's just like his dream. There's a scene with him at Hendrix' gravestone, I guess, too. So I guess if you were into the music, like if you're into music, this is the kind of movie that you would really dig, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the film musically. Yeah. There's bands that are there that you'd recognize.
Right. And they were going to,
clubs
and listening to music, and that's where they were like meeting and everything. But what I also liked was I liked the woman, the crazy woman who made the video, because again, it was showing the evolution of dating too, because there used to be, used to put in the personal ads, and this was the one step ahead of the personal ads, which was the VHS, the videotapes of you, and
I love that scene where they make her video.
Yes.
That Tim Burton directed, and all the little scenes he did, and she ends up with Peter Horton as her, the guy from 30 something and other, anyway, he's like a biker like she was, and he ends up with her roommate, and they end up. That to me, that was the funniest scene in the film. Is where she comes in after missing the date. She got the wrong restaurant, so now she has to rush all the way back home because he told a waitress at some other restaurant they were supposed to meet at that he was going to go to her house. When she gets to the house, her roommate's flirting with the guy because the guy knew her for some reason. Peter Horton knew her. So there's a scene where they go out in the backyard and they're negotiating what they're going to do while he's hearing it the whole time. They start at $200.
Yes.
You can have him, and then it ends at like $50, and I'll do the dishes for a week. And the whole time he's listening to it. I mean, I thought that was fun.
That was a cute scene. I liked that.
And that's what I mean. Cameron Crowe, like if you ever get to say anything, or you are almost famous, you're going to see some stuff in there that's really sweet. And I think that's what I love about his stuff is he's very. He's had a couple of fails that some films that haven't done so well, but when he hits it, it is very, very sweet. And his love stories are cute. I mean, these are cute. Meet cute, end cute, start again cute.
Right.
And they all end up at the end. Bridget Fonda ends up in an elevator with Matt Dillon.
Right.
She sneezes, and he says, "Bless you," and that's it. They start kissing in the elevator. I like the scene because it takes her a while to figure out that he said that. Right. And this is after, like you said, she's changed her life. Everything's great, and now ultimately, she's going to end up with him. Right. I like your hat, not in a high school way, I think he said. And then he said, "Bless you." I thought that was cute.
I thought it was cute, but I also thought it was predictable. And it also was disappointing. It was disappointing that after all the things she'd done, the only thing that she requires of a man is to say, "God bless you."
Well, and he did.
Yeah,
I wanted her to end up with Bill Pullman. I thought he was great.
The doctor?
Right, the doctor. But, it's a movie. And you're right. We knew that at the end everybody was going to be. This was not going to be a 70s film where...
I was hoping not. Well, I really was. I thought... I was thinking that some would stay together and some would break up. That was my thought. My thought was that not everybody was going to end up tied up in a nice, neat little bow. Like the one woman goes off to Mexico to live with her man, and then, Kira Sedgwick and her guy stay together.
Oh, right. Even that lady ended up
Yeah,
with
so
somebody.
I was hoping that somebody would just, kind of grow on their own.
Well, look what happened
to us. And so they could show all the different...
I mean, we have that famous love story that ends happy. So, I mean, come on, let them have it.
It does,
but... it's very predictable. And yet, I still enjoyed it. I still, having not seen it, there are bits and pieces in there. I loved his little slates he had in between scenes where he's prepping a scene with whatever's going to happen. And there's a quote. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, very simple filmmaking, but he's a writer, so it's all about the words and it's about the feeling, and you can tell he loves music. And that's what I mean. I'm not a music guy like that. I would have no idea. Like you immediately said Alice in Chains. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. They look like, So that's the other reason I wouldn't have gone to see it in '92 because I wasn't into that scene either. Right. But as I get older and I want to watch romantic comedies because life needs to be happy, I think Cameron Crowe is probably a good one to kind of look out for. Say Anything is, you'll see if you spin that, but that's got a whole different thing. But it's fantastic in that sense. So.
I mean, it's a good movie. It's a movie.
Okay. Oh, wow. Really? Is that why we're here?
Yeah.
Because it's a movie?
It's a movie. It's not...
Let's put that on the poster. Camera, let's say, what's that? Singles. It's a movie.
But, it lacked... I don't know. I guess it lacked grit
Substance.
For me. It lacked some sort of...
I mean, there's Tom Skerritt. That was funny when Steve's giving the whole spiel about why he wants a train, and he's listening, and he just says, no. Everybody wants their cars. Nobody wants to get in a train, even with good music and coffee. And it's a movie. Of course it's a movie. That's why we're watching these. But, it's interesting to see your reaction. It's funny. I never stopped seeing movies through all my child stuff. As a matter of fact, as they grew up 6 years old, 7 years old, they started watching them with me. Which I always enjoyed, and I still do. And I love talking about that, especially my son Max. He just totally got into it. And Bella's doing that. Bella does that too. Bella and I used to go to all the films. So but again, I never saw this one mainly because of the music, and I didn't, I wasn't into that grunge stuff. So, so the story that I read on IMDb, which is fantastic, is that They were going to do a spin-off TV series of this movie, Singles. They wanted Cameron Crowe to write it. He didn't want to do it.
Right.
So he's reading in the trades one day that they have decided they're going to do it. They're going to do it with this other couple that's going to do the writing.
Right.
That couple ended up being the couple that created Friends.
Oh.
So Friends basically is the same idea. People sitting around a coffee shop. I mean, there's that whole there's this Central Perk or whatever the hell. I never watched Friends.
I didn't either.
Okay, so that film Singles became this TV series Friends.
Right.
And Cameron Crowe's mother goes, "Ooh, boy, you really missed that boat. You could be living in a castle right now. What did you do? Why'd you make that mistake?" He goes, "Look, I'm fine. I don't need that castle. I'm happy with my life. My life is great. But there's a little lingering." Like, oh my God, it was that, So that I found that fascinating.
Yes.
I found that fascinating. All right. Let's rate it. 1 to 5. 0 to 5.
0 to 5. I mean, it's a 3. I mean, it's well written.
Yeah.
It's so predictable, and the fact that the characters just come full circle back to who they were, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's no.
Oh, there's no mystery about what's going to happen.
Right.
Nobody's like, I think even in Reality Bites, Ethan Hawke, who was the F boy.
Oh, he's the F boy. Yeah,
F boy in that one.
I've heard of that.
I don't think he changed. I think he stayed the way he was, and he was a despicable character to start, and he was a despicable character. And even this one, Matt Dillon should have been out. It shouldn't have happened. But Bridget Fonda made that happen because supposedly he changed a little because he commented to her hat, and he said,
"Well, he kept sending her like the flowers."
He was doing what the other guy was having him do to that woman. That was the whole thing about the rose petals with the name.
And he was doing all that.
He was really trying.
I just always felt like he was doing it because this was the first woman that rejected him.
That's
as a
true.
band, as a lead singer in a band. He had women.
Right.
He was always like telling Bridget Fonda, I'm seeing other people, right? You know. And all of a sudden when she was like, you go have your fun. Then all of a sudden he's like, wait, she's the first one who's rejecting me. So now I got to get her back.
Yeah, she discovered herself and was happy with herself.
And she was happy with herself.
And ultimately she ends up with him anyway.
Exactly.
And down the road when the fades to black in the next couple of weeks, he's going to be back into the same thing. Maybe his band becomes a huge success and then he's going to dump her anyway and it's over.
Right.
So that's what you wanted.
What?
You wanted that kind of ending. Bitter and nasty. And
no, I didn't want bitter and nasty. I wanted strength. I wanted Bridget Fonda to be strong.
She was strong for a while.
And
she was strong for a while.
Like really establish her personality and what she was doing.
What did I say that captured what was the thing that I did that you went, oh, this is the guy for me? Did I say bless you or anything?
No, it wasn't just one thing. It's it was like a thing. It's one of the things you do is that you do complain a little bit, but you always end it with, but everything's going to be okay. Like everything always is going to be okay. So it was like you never, and this is terrible, but I dated a lot, as we all know, and I dated a lot of men.
That'll be another podcast, by the way.
And a lot of men complain and speak poorly about their ex-wives, and you didn't do that. No. And so that, to me, shows me that you had respect for women.
No,
so
I do.
You do.
Bless you. Like I said, I gave it a 3 again.
Give it a 3 too.
But this also makes me want to watch the other Cameron Crowe films, like Say Anything, like Jerry Maguire, like Almost Famous again. Hopefully, when we spin it, you're going to watch them. But I really enjoy his stuff, and I didn't realize how many he had directed until we started doing this, and you start catching all these, and I enjoyed that.
But my question is, since you'd never seen it, because I assumed you'd seen it, because I thought all the things that you want me to see were things that you had seen. Yeah. What made you put it on the wheel to start with?
As I was just throwing movies out to you, it just the list kept growing and growing and growing. I think I might have looked at the Reality Bites because we were down here, and I have the Reality Bites Laserdisc signed by Ethan Hawke, by the way. And I might have said, "Oh, have you ever seen Singles?"
Yeah,
that's why. The list just keeps growing. This list is never going to stop.
It does keep growing.
Because of this movie, I added Say Anything and I added Almost Famous because I really want you to see those. So who knows when we'll get to them. So I have no idea why that this popped in, but I had never seen it, so I'm glad I saw it with you. So that was fun.
Yeah,
good film. 3 out of 5. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
All right, so let's do the next big question. Hopefully, it won't be one that we've answered 12 times. but you never know. All right, you ready?
Ready.
I know you can. Okay. Favorite film genre?
Oh. There's two of those.
Okay. Well,
it's like they go neck and neck.
Okay.
I love a good horror movie.
Right.
And I love a good like suspenseful mystery.
Okay.
So those are my
horror
favorite.
And suspense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to be like on the edge of my seat. Yeah. I like to try to figure out who's the killer, that kind of thing.
Mine is, what is mine? I guess I can't, my genre is 1970 films, 1970s films.
Yeah.
I just love that they're not all happy endings. I love that that was when directors first started getting control of their films. So there's a lot of interesting experimentation going on. It's not necessarily a genre, but more of a decade, I guess. Because I can jump between horror, romantic comedies, comedies, suspense. Definitely, I love suspense films. But for me, 1970s kinds of encapsulates my love of film. My favorite films: Taking the Pelham 1, 2, 3,
that's a good
Jaws. Yeah. Obviously The Godfather. There's so many that come out of the Marathon Man. The Conversation. I just go on and on and on. I just like the feeling in those films. Chinatown's one of those as well. So yeah, so it's not really genre, but a decade. And that's my answer. All right, well, let's now spin for the film you're going to do next time.
Ooh, can't wait.
Any guesses? Anything you want on that? Just if you picked one.
No, I mean, I think I'd like to see Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay, we just saw that Faye.
Yeah, because we just watched that documentary, and I enjoyed
She's actually
that.
Pretty amazing.
And I watched the clips they had in there, and people were all complaining about Natural Born Killers when that came out. Bonnie and Clyde, those people, that was some.
Well, and that came out at a time when nobody expected that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing film. Well, let's see. Let's see if you have the power of persuasion.
The power of persuasion over the wheel.
Oh, I went past Bonnie and Clyde.
It did.
Sorry. Oh, come on.
It's Casablanca.
What's Casablanca or it's Casablanca?
It's Casablanca.
Do you know who stars in Casablanca?
Bogart.
Thank you. And
Bacall.
No, I think Bergman. Ingrid
Oh,
Bergman.
I thought it was Lauren Bacall.
That's a different Humphrey Bogart.
I thought they
film.
always filmed together.
No, she's not in this one. I don't believe.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I'm an idiot. So Casablanca, she's never seen Casablanca. Play it again, Sam. The Hill of Beans don't matter. You don't know any of this stuff.
Here's
Why
looking
would
at
you
you,
walk
kid,
in a place
right?
like
Is that
this?
in there?
What's that?
Is that Here's looking
Here's
at
looking
you,
at you, kid. I don't think he actually says that. I don't know if he does. You'll watch. Well, we'll watch. The good news is these old films are short. So it's not going to take a lot of time. But good. I'm glad this popped up. You need to see this one. You need
I
this in
do.
your
Everybody
film
always
education.
talks about it all the time.
That's a love story.
Okay.
Believe it or not. You'll see between a lot of people. But
Between a lot of people.
yeah, you'll see. It's fun. So that's good. Casablanca. Okay, there you go. Well, enjoy your you did enjoy your.
I did.
Okay. I'm really enjoying my Sprite, so here you go. Cheers.
Cheers.